Hi, I'm Scott Hanbury. I'm the head of analytics for the Clorox company and also the sponsor of sales for college recruiting. And with me is Rachel Rosowski and Millie Rogers Thornton. And these are both former interns that have come through our program that I got to work with directly. Do you guys want to say hi?
Hi, everyone. Excited to be here.
Yeah, super excited. We were in your shoes before too.
With the onset of COVID, we used to have these wild case studies, and then we found out about Way Up, and that it can reach people from all over the country, all over the place, and we're all about being an inclusive environment here. So we thought, hey, we can reach more people. Let's try this. So hopefully this is fun. We're not uptight. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna take direct questions. Anything you want to talk about. We're going to start with a quick overview of the company, and then we're going to let Millie and Rachel talk a little bit about their experiences interning with us. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, if you guys are waiting, it is a paid internship. We don't believe in asking people to work for free. I realized Rachel pointed out that it wasn't in there. I think Millie did too, in our presentation, but it is, and it's very fair and very a generous deal, and that's something that you can look at later. But with all of that said, I'm going to start this presentation to let you know a little bit about who we are and what we do. We're going to start with a video. Awesome. And I just realized Millie was in that video. I saw you in a picture there. I didn't notice that before. Hey, we wanted to give you a quick breakdown, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on this business stuff. We really are leaving a lot of time at the end to have conversations with you guys and talk about anything you want to talk about. So this will be really interactive soon, but I just want to make sure you guys understand what we're all about. So 41% of our business is all about health and wellness. 27% is around household, 17% around lifestyle, if you think about it, and 15% is really international business. We really do most of our business here in the United States. If we go back up to health and wellness, we consider cleaning health and wellness, especially in the time of COVID. And you can only imagine what COVID did to our business. We broke all sales records the company's ever had in growth and profits and dollars that this last year or so. It's just been unbelievable. The household, we have bags, wraps, cat litter. We have charcoal. People think of Clorox, they think it's just bleach, but that's just the starting point for us. We are the point of this is it's very well balanced. We have business across the board. If one thing's down, the others seem to be up, and we tend to always do well because of that. We have our playbook is all built around economic profit. We have the leading brands. We're purposeful and targeted in where we play. We really think hard about, as a company, about where we want to play. And we've made acquisitions and purchased companies to fit within this balanced portfolio. And if you're curious about what ESG, that if you've seen that, it's the new standard that most large companies are holding themselves to, and it has to do with sustainability and environmental impact and governance of ethical and behavior from a financial standpoint, that most large investment companies are requiring that there's ESG standards if you haven't been exposed to that. But we try to do everything well. Leading brands, loved by our consumers. As I said, we were talking about a lot of our brands. Kingsford, Glad trash bags, Scoop Away, Fresh Step litter, Liquid Plumber, Pine Sol. You go to a typical cleaning section in any area, you'd find that we have about 25% of all the brands in there, because we own 409, we have Pine Sol. We're really looked at as the cleaning experts around the world, around the United States anyway. But we've also branched out into Renew Life, which is a probiotic, Rainbow Light, which is a vitamin company. These are some newer acquisitions for us. And I'm sure all of you in college have your Brita water filters going in your dorm rooms. But nearly 80% of our global portfolio are number 1 and 2 brands. These are all big brands. And most of them are superior consumer value. Now, I'm not saying it's value as in cheap, but it's value as in the quality of the product you get for the price. And 66% of our value has a stable or growing household penetration, meaning we're actually growing or are very high. As a matter of fact, the Clorox brand had higher household penetration than Coca-Cola or Apple on one of our last checks for household penetration, which is a big thing to say. One of our things we live by, a mantra, if you will, we champion people to be well and thrive every single day. And this isn't just a thing about our consumers, but it's about our employees. You'll find that we really are a people company, and we want our employees to be happy and healthy and balanced and really be able to bring their whole selves to work. And you'll find there's a lot of companies, I've worked for several before I came here, that will all tell you this and have it on paper, but their actions don't match their words. You will find that it's absolutely not the case here. We absolutely match what we say is what we do. And I think you'll pick up on that as you see more of this that we see. We ignite, create a virtuous cycle. This is what's called our ignite cycle. We're evolving our portfolio constantly to fuel growth and create innovative experiences, and that is continually happening as we reimagine our work and how we work, and which is more fuel for growth. It's consistent reinvestments. We have been strong, and we continue to be strong with our brands. The thing that you're all here for is a sales internship. You're talking, and I don't know about you guys, but when I started in this business, I thought for one, I thought I'll never work in business. And number 2, I thought I would never work in sales, because I thought sales was exactly what this guy's doing on the left, telemarketing, or like trying to talk people into doing things they don't want to do, or just feeling shifty, like I was pulling something over on someone, like you feel at a car dealership. That's not what sales is here at all. We partner with our retailers. So retailers, we try to understand the voice of the customer, and we try to understand what's happening. See, retailers are so busy with their day-to-day operations, they just don't know what to do with their products. And you might think you never think about it, right? You walk into a store, and why do they look like they look? Why are products where they are? Why are sections in the order they are? Well, it's because manufacturers who are experts in their products are working with retailers to understand their shoppers and really connect with you as a shopper and say, hey, this is how you're going to best serve your shoppers, and you're going to create loyalty, you're going to create repeat business, and this is how you're going to be a successful business by having this mix of products in this way at these prices. And we're really helping them to solve problems. And most retailers will say, hey, I'm not, for instance, you could have a retailer say, hey, I sell a lot of food, but I'm not selling a lot of cleaning products. Why is that? And then we would come to the table with our expertise and help them solve that problem and kind of bring a story to them, tell a story about what's happening with their shoppers and where they're going and how we could do some things differently to better serve their customer base. And to me, that is really much more fun and much more interesting than thinking about just selling, right? Because this is an opportunity for us to actually partner with something and make a difference. And even from the earliest stages in your career at Clorox, you have the opportunity to influence and affect things that you would see happen in stores. Millie and Rachel, do you think, did I miss anything there? Is there anything you would add to that?
Yeah, Scott, I think that was great. I think a big piece of this is there's so much data out there. So part of being in sales is taking all of that data, simplifying it, mining through it to find the insights. And the storytelling piece is so important because data can be super confusing. There's so much of it. So when you're able to wrap it up into a nice story that flows well, it's just so much more impactful to the customer.
Yeah, and just know that it's, I always tell people this, and I know I've told these guys on the phone with me here, you learn to be comfortable in the swirl, meaning there's going to be a lot of data and a lot of things floating around. And what we try to teach you is how to push away the things that don't matter so you can start to see the things that are left over that are pieces. And then how do we piece that together? And what story is it telling us? And what do we want to do about that? And where do we want this narrative to go? It's really much more interesting than thinking about, I'm just going to go pull reports and have data. If for what we do, there is different branches of how we work, and this purple glowing box I added, but there's a marketing branch that really works on branding and impressions and all that works at our general offices mostly. On the far right, you're going to see field sales. That's what all three of us from Clorox on this call do. But there's also sales planning, and sales planning is like the hands between the field and the marketing group that tries to help create plans that can be operationalized as to how do we go to market, where do we go to market, and what is our strategy. So they help work between marketing and what's real, because marketing always is trying to get you to do things. They're trying to change people's behavior. And I'll tell you, a lot of sales is us taking advantage of current trends and probably current behavior more. And how do we make sure we're getting the right products in the right places at the right people at the right times in people's baskets to optimize that, right? So sales planning is just sort of this thing that comes between that says, how do we do what we're doing right now, right? But how do we also get to where we're going next? And for our internships, the reason that's blocked is these two areas are where sales is using interns and analysts for what we're talking about today. So if either one of those areas interests you, either the execution with a customer where the action is, or the strategic side of working with a BU and helping us take these marketing plans and bring them to life with customers, you're in the right place if either one of those things sounds interesting to you.
I just want to point out that BU means business unit.
Oh,
so
thank
the different
you.
categories that we work on. We have a lot of acronyms here at Clorox. So a BU would be something like home care, for instance.
Yeah, we love our acronyms. And I know I thank you for that, Rachel, because I do throw those out there sometimes and I have to remember. So here's another video, and this one is more about the sales function from some of our folks.
Clorox is actually a very hands-on kind of business. Basically, you get a lot of experience here by actually doing versus reading about it. You literally are trained on the job every day. The good news about that is that you learn how to run the business and be a true business owner.
Within sales planning, no day is ever the same, which is incredibly invigorating for me. I like being able to show up to work and really dig into problems and understand where we can go to take the business and continue to grow it. A key program that has been critical to my success at Clorox has been the Clorox Sales Mentoring Program, because I've formed these formal mentoring relationships that have really turned into informal friendships and relationships that have really helped me propel my career at Clorox.
I had my first role as an e-commerce analyst on our sales team, and I focused a lot about the content that we were providing on our different customer sites. I was able to be promoted on my same team, add more responsibilities, and focus on some more of the skills that I really want to build out. Being able to be supported by my different team members, by my directors, and getting this feeling that I was really being taken care of as an individual has really led to my success at the company.
So how do they work? I'm going to give you some logistics around this, and we're going to get right into talking about some personal experiences. This is based on the 2021 schedule. It's not the absolute. I made some best estimates I could. As we get closer, we'll have them more locked in, but I'm pretty sure they're pretty darn accurate. They've been 10 weeks in the past. If it works out the same, they would start early June and move to about mid-August. We typically, pre-COVID, would bring the students all out for a kickoff week where we would have some really fun activities, including meeting our CEO, and Linda would come and actually spend time with you and answer your questions and sit in a room with you. Really cool. I can tell you, I've been at other companies and they tell you not to look at the CEO. Our CEO is incredibly approachable and incredibly personable and wants to hear what you have to say. Interns are working with their teams the remainder of that time. Regularly connectivity for the groups for their professional development. I could talk about that a little more. You're going to have 4 pillars of support. You're going to have your direct manager, who's going to help give you a project that you can work on that is going to really hopefully stretch you. But we don't, I had an internship in college where I had to do just stupid menial work. That's the best way I can explain it, for lack of more eloquent words. We try to give you something that matters, because at the end of the internship, you get to go to Oakland and you meet with our senior leadership team, and you can present to them what you learned and what you got out of the process and what your project was about. So it's really important. We've designed it that way, and one of the reasons is that it ends up giving you something meaningful and not just busy work. We also have a mentor program where we'll set you up with someone in the company who's been here for the summer that you can talk to. I tend to plug my interns into a lot of people, and it works really well. I really always have highly calibrated interns, and it's not because I'm magic or anything I do. It's because I plug in with a whole lot of people that you can learn from and draw from. And 2 of those are on this call with me right here today, who have been invaluable with onboarding people. From the recruiting standpoint, our HR people are awesome. We've got Shelby on this call right now. They're going to ensure an overall experience and make sure everything goes smooth, that a computer gets shipped to you at the right time, that it gets shipped back, and you understand what's going on. But we have something too called intern committee, and I actually, both Rachel and Millie are on those. And there's functional training that they actually meet and talk about you guys. Say, hey, what can we do for these guys to help them from the socials and getting to know each other and doing fun things. They did online escape room, which I'm not sure how that worked, but they had fun. They did barista training online and actually sent them like barista kits. It was crazy. But they also did functional professional trainings where you talk to leaders in the company and learned about how things work. And I think this year we're going to even put another focus, another twist of like actual, like maybe technical knowledge, like Excel, and how do you do a pivot table, right? And how do you use VLOOKUPs? And so those are some things that we're going to be looking at, because we constantly are surveying our interns to find out what they liked about the process, what they didn't like about the process, and how we can make it better. All that being said, we also have an evaluation process, and I'm not going to go into this in heavy detail. I'm sorry, it's blurry. I grabbed this off a screen. The thing that's different about Clorox is a lot of companies will gauge you on what you do and what your output is. And yeah, that's important, but we're really concerned how you do it. Like I said, we're a people company, and we have to take value in inclusion, diversity, in people bringing their whole selves to work, and you being yourself. We want you to operate in a set of values that just exemplifies professionalism and kindness, and doing the right thing is a thing that we say a lot. And I've seen person after person get promoted in their careers at Clorox because of the how they do what they do, even though the what, meaning their sales numbers weren't exactly where they needed to be, they were flat or down. It didn't matter if they were the right type of person that was going to do it. And I don't mean the type of person from a cultural standpoint. I mean the type of person from a value standpoint. Because if I pulled everyone in that was a cultural standpoint, you'd have a bunch of people that look like me and live in Ohio. And that's not really diversity. What we want is people that really exemplify the same values. And it doesn't matter if you're short, tall, fat, or from Mars. I don't care. If you're here to do the right things in your heart, your head's in the right spot, your heart's in the right spot, and you've got guts, Liz, you're the kind of person we want. As far as the feedback and online goes, just to fill in some blanks for you, at the beginning of the year, we set performance goals, meaning what do you want to learn? What do you want to get out of this process? The My GPS, that's pretty intuitive. I guess you can see that that's how do we set your course. Mid-year, you'll get a check-in. We'll tell you how you're doing, how things are going, where we see you from a rating standpoint. So there should be no surprises. We do a final rating by the end of August. Once the internship is done, we actually will sit down, calibrate, see what kind of openings we have, and we're actually typically offering jobs sometimes before you're gone on the last day or the next week, right? Typically no longer than 2 weeks, but you do find out really quickly if we're going to have a job for you the following summer when you graduate, or another internship. So with that, I'm going to stop presenting because I want Millie and Rachel to talk. And since I have them in order, Rachel, Millie, we'll just go in that order. Rachel was an intern 2 years ago. Millie was an intern a year ago.
Thank you, Scott. So hi, everyone. I know I've been chiming in throughout. My name is Rachel Ruskowski. I am originally from upstate New York, the Buffalo, Niagara Falls area, and I'm a graduate of Niagara University. So it was actually about 4 years ago. I was in your shoes. I was looking for an internship. At the time, I was getting my MBA at Niagara. You do not need an MBA to do this internship. You could be an undergrad as well. So I just want to call that out. So I was getting my MBA. I really wanted to do a big internship, I called it. So I wanted to go to a big company. I was a commuter, so I stayed local through college. I really wanted to get the experience of going out of state, and having an internship at a big company out of state was always something that was a dream of mine. But I'm sure a lot of you can relate to me. I was kind of nervous about it. I was intimidated by the big company. I thought, okay, well, I could apply for it, but I probably won't get it. And obviously that's not the case since I'm here today. So I just wanted to share that with you all because I feel like it's so easy to feel very intimidated and get to the point where you don't even want to apply because you're afraid of getting let down. So like I said, I did my internship. I went from the Buffalo, New York area. I went out to Cincinnati, Ohio for my internship. And through that, I was on the Great Lakes Regional Grocery team. And another fear I had was I didn't want to get thrown to the wolves. So I was afraid that I would come in. I really didn't have a background in sales. I did an internship in marketing before. I knew there was kind of a stigma around sales where you thought it was cold calling, really going after people, trying to force them to do something that maybe they didn't want to do. So I really wanted to get that experience. When I went to an information session with Clorox, I learned that that really wasn't what sales was. It was more about the storytelling and the data analytics side of everything. So you're never going in cold to different customer meetings and such. So with that, I really didn't have a whole lot of experience in Excel. I did some stuff. When I came to Clorox and I saw what other people were doing, I was just like, oh my gosh, how on earth am I going to be able to be successful in this internship? And there are so many resources for you throughout your time. Not only do you have your manager, but you also have a buddy who is someone in the sales analyst position. So someone who's kind of been in your shoes before, who was able to help you and help train you so you could learn those things. I feel now it's kind of come full circle where now I'm that person who's helping train people in those areas. So it's definitely very rewarding to me seeing where I came from. So I just wanted to share that so you guys know that you do not have to come in knowing everything. It's all about learning, and it's all about the journey of learning throughout your internship. So with your internship, you will have one main project where you will end up presenting to the sales leadership team at the end of your internship, but you'll also have other projects along the way, smaller projects. So my main project focused on SKU rationalization. I had no idea what that even meant when I was given that project, just to be completely transparent. So basically you think of it as you go into a store, you see all the products on the shelf. Basically, SKU rationalization is making sure you have the best products on the shelf that people are looking for. The placement on the shelf is important as well. And then taking out the products that really shoppers aren't looking for. We call them slow movers. So that was my main project. And what I didn't really realize is not everything banks on your final project and presentation. So I had a voluntary Burt's Bees project that I did throughout the internship, and that was in a team setting. So it was really nice to get new connections and work with other interns across functions. But then I also did a project for the Great Lakes team, and it was called the Top 75 Project. So I did this project. Basically, the idea of it was figuring out what the top 75 products were in the region, figuring out what the dollar opportunity would be if those products were in 95% distribution of the stores within that region. So I had the opportunity to present just one slide on that project that I did at a planning meeting. And the VP of grocery was sitting next to me when I presented that. And what I ended up finding out later is that she really loved my presentation that I did and the project that I did that was not even my final project. And she was already interested in hiring me before I gave my final presentation. So I just want to be so clear that not everything banks on your final presentation. I know it's something that you're inevitably going to be worried about and excited about. But for me, my advice is that it's not all about one day. It's about your entire experience throughout your internship. And with that, I see there's some links coming through. I just want to check if there's any questions before I pass it over to Millie to share her experience.
I've answered a few questions that I could type. One is, and I'll let both of you speak to this. What are the qualities that are most important in order to excel in this role? And what, and also this said, would this internship be open to sophomores as well? We do have, just so you know, a youth, I always forget the name of it. I want to call it Next Gen, but it's not it. But there is two people that we already have set up that are coming in as sophomores. We're typically for this group looking for someone that will be between their junior and senior year next year, but for next summer. But go ahead, Rachel, and then Millie, you can add on to the qualities question.
Yeah, so for me, I would say that the most important factor was not being afraid to reach out to people, and also not being afraid to admit that you don't know something. So I feel like it was so much easier for me just to say, hey, I actually don't know how to do this. Would you mind taking the time to teach me so then I can then apply it to my future work? So that was something that I found was really important. I feel a lot of us kind of have a good student mentality, at least I did. And I was always afraid of being wrong. But I think just to remember that you are in a learning environment and it's okay not to know something and it's okay to reach out for someone to help you. So that would be one thing. The other thing that is kind of tied with that is definitely take the time to reach out to people and form connections. There are so many people who work at Clorox and they have all these great qualities, and it's different going across different people and different teams. So really taking the opportunity that you have while you are an intern to reach out to many different people, I would say is also really important to take advantage of.
Yeah, great points, Rachel. My thought on what qualities are needed. I think the biggest thing, and one of the reasons that I loved my internship with Clorox, was that Clorox really cares about your character and your integrity as a person, even more, or at least equal to your work product and how you work and what you, like Rachel said earlier, about your presentation. So just the fact that you are a humble person and that you are there to learn. All of those things are qualities that really matter, and that I think will get you a really long ways during your internship, and hopefully after that with an offer. And just understanding that you really care about the company and you care about people, and that our products are doing good. It was really cool. It's been very cool to be at a company that's making a big difference during COVID. And so if that matters to you and you care about things like that, those are all qualities that I think just go a long ways at Clorox, which is important to me and important to other people here. I know that we also, I think, have two people who raised their hand. I believe Lynn, I apologize if that's not how you pronounce your name, and Wyatt.
Hello, thank you so much for having this event. I just wanted to have one quick question. So I'm currently a sophomore at Babson College, and my question is, are there any internships available in the summer for sophomores? And what are the next steps for joining the Clorox team?
So I was just typing that out in the answers. What we're mostly looking for right now, because we've got a youth program that we've got people set up for right now. That we've already got 2 interns that are coming in that are sophomores, between their sophomore and junior year. So the rest of the internships that are open right now are for people between their junior and senior year next summer. So that's what our availability is right now. But if you want to apply, and go ahead, because who's to say, we may end up having one more spot. So, and typically we are looking for that. We are looking, actually, just to be fair, we want to hire people. We want people that we can hire and have start immediately this summer after they graduate. So like a year after they finish.
Yeah, and I'll just share, like, personally what I went through before, and I don't always share this. I actually found out about Clorox through an information session, and at the time, the application period had just closed for the internship. So I actually waited and I applied a year later for the next round of internships, and they actually remembered me from the information session. So I thought that was super cool, and I definitely wasn't discouraged, and I just waited to apply for the next round. Not to say that you can't apply for this round though.
Right. And honestly, if you want to apply and for some reason it doesn't make it through because we're full, connect with me on LinkedIn and stay in contact, because it'll make a big difference next time.
Great, thank you so much.
Sure. Wyatt, did you have a question?
Yeah, my name is Wyatt Slarte. I'm from I go to Hobart College actually, so kind of up in the upstate New York area too. But my question was, Kind of just about what the day kind of looks like for the average day for an intern. Is that involving like a lot of project time? Are you kind of in contact with a lot of people throughout the day, including your mentor and stuff?
Yeah, I can start that, and I'll let you guys add on. It's a little different. I think your every day is going to be really depending on where you're at, right? So week 1, there's traveling involved. Week 10, there's traveling involved. In between, you're going to have meetings that are connecting you with your other peers and your other stuff. But in general, we try to pepper the time in with meetings. What we're trying to do more and more is give you time to work on your project and connect with people to work on that project. But also, nobody comes in as an analyst after they start with a company and is doing like huge project work on their own. So we're trying to pepper in a little more of the day-to-day stuff, like, hey, can you run this report? Can you help organize this? Can you help do that? As kind of understanding some of the basics of the things we do, but it also helps you understand the company. But it's pretty wide open. We're not babysitters. We don't have a punch machine for time, and we're super flexible. And we've had people who needed to have the morning off or something and wanted to switch their time around. Also know that even though you're really only working 36 hours a week, it's a 40-hour week that you're getting paid for, because we do have summer hours, it's called, and Friday afternoons are off, but you get paid for it. And we try to do that so people can take advantage of the summertime, nice weather, and the weekends, and get a jump start on the weekend.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I feel like you hit it pretty much right on. And I will say, just because I was on the professional development team for the last round of interns, we do have a shared calendar. So we'll list all the different events that the interns were doing. So we were able to kind of spread it out so then it wasn't always like full days of meetings. We want to make sure that you have enough project time, but then there's a happy balance of having the personal connection time, but then also getting the extra professional development time as well.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and once we run out of questions, I'll give you guys a little bit of an insider about how the interviews are going to work.
Yeah, and we still need Millie to share her experience.
Yeah, I know, and then that's we also need that. But we've had these good questions too.
I know. I just don't want to forget about Millie here. Millie,
no, questions are important. I remember being in your shoes. I was like, I don't care about them. Just give me the question and answer. So no,
let's grab because I see it. I wanted to make sure I see your name right. Can you say your name so I don't say it wrong? Is it?
Yes, my name is Pooja. Hello, everyone. I go to UC Irvine. I'm currently a junior. Thank you again for hosting this session today. So I know Millie mentioned that Clorox really values character and integrity in their candidates for internships, but I was kind of wondering what kind of technical skills or professional experience does Clorox value in their potential interns?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think in my experience, I had fellow interns who had never had internships before. I personally had several internships before. So the nice thing is it's a wide variety. And I think going back to the character thing, right? You can't teach that. You can teach a lot of other skills. You can teach the analytics. You can teach the pivot tables on Excel. All of those things are a lot easier to teach. And so there's a wide variety of experience that comes in technically, just through whether it's, I haven't used a lot of Excel. I have used a lot of Excel. There's a vast, I would say the majority of sales interns that come in, their majors are somewhere on business in the business world. But I had an intern who is an engineer. It can be lots of things if you have an interest in it. And so when it comes to technical skills, I think you exit with a lot more than you come into the program with. And so don't be, for instance, the school that I came from, I studied marketing and management. My analytical skills were minimal. But that was something that I was able to learn in the internship quite a bit. So don't let that keep you from it. I really do. I think there's probably, as long as I would say the most important hard skills to come in with would be communication and just the ability to learn. As long as you have any familiarity with numbers at all. I don't think it has to be extreme, but just understanding what you're looking at to be able to build a story from it is important. But everything else, I would say you can learn while you're here. Rachel, Scott, do y'all have other thoughts on that?
Yeah, Millie, I think that's super accurate. I once had a professor tell my class that if you have the right mindset, if you're very driven, you could really go into any field that you want. I mean, outside of like being a medical doctor or something. So I would encourage, if you don't have that experience, don't go that direction. But I found that it has been incredibly accurate. Like Millie said, we had someone who was an engineering student and he just wanted to get experience on the sales side. Because really the analytical type skills, they're so transferable to other jobs. So if you don't necessarily see yourself in sales, you could transfer it to another position later on. So I do think that it is very accurate. Like we really do look at someone's character when we're looking for our interns, because skills can be taught. It's the mindset that you can't really teach.
And we're developing the interview framework right now. And my concern when we're talking to you is, do you have a good work ethic? Do you really have this ambition, right? And that's the head. Do you have the heart? Like, do you really have this excitement and yearning to learn, a curiosity? And do you have the guts where you're able to say, hey, I just don't know that, but I'd like to know. And you know, I personally, people interview with me in the past have told me, well, that was an interview because we really had a conversation, and I'm just trying to get to know you. You know, I want to know if we could click together and understand each other and work on these things, because I'm willing to take all the time in the world to teach somebody who's got a good heart and a willing attitude that's right, willing to do the right thing. We'll work with those people, and those are the right kind of people, quite honestly.
Okay. Yeah, thank you guys for all your responses. That was very helpful.
There's a few questions in the chat, like what does inclusion and diversity look like for us? Actually, it says diversity and inclusion. We always call it inclusion and diversity because we know if everyone feels included and can bring their whole selves to work, that we'll have diversity handled, right? And we actually do have targets for the company, entire groups committed to inclusion and diversity. I'm part of the inclusion and diversity panel for college recruiting, but you can mention any part of the company, and we've got groups of people that take on outside of their day job to make sure that we have an inclusion and diversity lens on every part of this company. It is a huge pillar for us, and it will never not be. Benno, our old CEO, and our new CEO, Linda, say, we want you to bring your whole self to work. And that's why I was talking about values over culture. Let me see. Was there any, I saw that in there. If someone wanted to go deeper on that, we can. But I also saw, is this internship remote? And we're working that. They could be. There may be some remote, because what we would like to see is people come to where our offices are, because you get the most out of the experience. But who knows what COVID's going to do? So if it's going to continue to be variants and whatnot, that's in the air. Yeah, and that was both. There was 2 questions on that. And I'm gonna work, since Millie didn't tell her whole story, we're gonna go to her with one of these live questions in a minute. But I want to see, does speaking many languages at Clorox important? Heck, it never hurts. What really helps is laughing at my dad jokes. No, we do have a whole international group, and there's some great jobs and some great opportunities with our international business, and that would go through sales as well. And I know we have Shelby on from HR. I'm not sure about the outside the US. Can they work remotely? I'm not sure how that works. But one of the answers that we were going to answer live is what challenges, you got this, Mil? What challenges did you run into during the internship, and how did you solve them, like an annoying manager like me? Also, are there certain skills that are important to being successful in the internship, which we kind of talked about already?
Okay, yep, I'll take it. I also wanted to touch on the diversity question. I've been incredibly proud of how this company has handled diversity internally and externally, especially last year, kind of with George Floyd and things coming to light. We did not ignore it. We had hard conversations about it, and I think there's a difference in telling people how they should feel about diversity inclusion and then seeing people actually care about their peers and check in on one another and just have really good but hard conversations. And we did that. We did that well. We had the team that I was on at the time, we had monthly meetings and they were required, which I think is important, but also you could tell from the conversation that people would have been there no matter what. And so there's a balance of that. And then we also have ERGs, which are employee resource groups. We have several of those that do a really good job of having, I would say, different aspects of diversity kind of on display. So I'm a part of Next Gen, which is the kind of Gen Z group. I'm also a part of SHOW, which is our group for women. We have one for various religions. We have ones for various sexuality and race and all the things that make a person who they are, and they do a really good job of just embracing that and teaching one another. So that was my only addition on the diversity. The question about hard things during your internship and how did you challenges and how did you solve them? I think this is a really good question. There's different challenges from just being in a new space and learning. And then there's like super practical challenges of just how to work with people who have a different style than you. Scott was actually my manager. And one of the things that he mentioned it earlier is just embracing the swirl. That is not my personality type. I would like for everything to be in straight lines and straight roads. And that was not what happened. I mean, there was a lot of, my project was on how, which this was pre-pandemic, it would be a whole new answer now, but how are Clorox products important to the success of e-commerce? Again, would be even more so today than it was when I interned in 2019. But I mean, I wanted clear-cut answers and I wanted clear-cut instructions, and that was not the project, and that was really good for me. I now looking back, am so grateful for that. But I remember sitting with Scott several times, and I would just be like, "Okay, what do I do? Like, what do I do tomorrow?" And he was like, "Embrace the swirl, figure it out." And that was good. It was good for me to have a manager that didn't think like I did, and that encouraged me to look into problems in different ways. And when there's, how do you solve a problem or answer a question when the question isn't specifically written down? It's not a black and white topic. And there were a lot of different things I could have done with that project, a lot of different directions I could have gone. So I would say that was on a more just practical level. I wouldn't say it was a problem, but I had to figure out how to look at it differently. And Scott helped me with that and was patient when I begged for black and white. And then just helped me as I move forward of, okay, what does gray look like? Or the squirrel, as he will call it. So that was probably one of them. Another one would have just been adjusting. We, at the time that I did the internship, they moved you for 10 weeks to do it. So I am originally from Northwest Arkansas. And I moved to Cincinnati, Ohio for 10 weeks and had never lived anywhere else. And so there were just differences on that of just how do I embrace a new place for 10 weeks and how do I figure that out? So, and I would say, how did I solve that one is just really relying on the people that I worked with. And Clorox is a great place to do that of, where do I go get dinner on the weekends, or just how do I, why is gas so expensive here? Whatever the question is. It is more expensive than in Northwest Arkansas. So those are the challenges. I think that was how I would answer that question. Are there certain skills that are important to being successful? I think we answered that. If we didn't,
I think so.
Yeah, just ask us again. And then I think I've touched on some of my background, but just a quick view would be, grew up in Arkansas, went to John Brown University, which is a small liberal arts school, and studied marketing and management. I did a case study was how I interviewed for the position, and that was my fall of my junior year. And then had the internship between junior and senior year. And that was when we moved to Cincinnati for 10 weeks. And then, so the internship ends something like August 10th. I started my classes for senior year on something like August 22nd or something. And I got the job offer the day before senior year started, which was awesome. It was so nice to be able to go into senior year and just know. And you actually had, at that time, you had a month to accept or decline the position. So I took some time. I didn't do an immediate response just because I wanted to, figure out the financials and figure out all the things about we eventually moved to Cincinnati, which is where I'm at now. And so I had the time to figure it out, but it was really nice to just have that knowledge going into senior year. Was pretty awesome. I had 2 other internships before. I had done an internship, a marketing internship for a bank, and then I had done a marketing internship actually for a healthcare coaching company. And Clorox's program by far was my favorite. They took care of me in a lot of ways, and they take care of their people. It was my favorite internship because of not only did I get great business experience, but I also got a great personal experience. And sometimes you have to sacrifice one or the other. And this program really doesn't ask you to do that. You get a pretty great experience on both fronts. You get to travel to California, which was fun. I had never been, given pandemic and things like that. But yeah, it was great on both fronts. So now living in Cincinnati, Ohio full-time. I came in as a sales analyst on the Kroger team, and then just recently switched in July, and I'm now the sales analyst for the Costco team. So that's my background, but now we can go back to the more important things like Q&A.
I want to make sure and cover, before we're out of time, what's next. So October 8th is the deadline to apply for the role. In early October, right after that, we're going to start evaluating resumes. We are going to invite a decent number of them back for interviews. But before that, we're going to send you some packets of information. The interviews will take place on the 27th and 28th, and each person that is selected to be interviewed will have 3 half-hour interviews. One will be with a manager type level that you would be reporting to, just to talk to you and get to know you and figure out that value set. The second interview is with an analytics person who's going to talk to you about a data packet we sent you, just to get your feedback on and have a conversation. They're probably going to ask you, what did you think? What did you notice? Is there anything you would do about it? And just to have a conversation. It's going to be conversational. You're not going to be grilled. No one's going to try to make anyone look dumb. We just want to see how you think, right? And the third interview is going to be someone like Millie or Rachel, where they're going to talk to you, and you're going to be able to ask a lot of questions and get more in depth about what it's like to have an internship here, and hopefully they'll help you understand. Remember, when you interview with anyone, us or anyone else, you're interviewing us as much as we're interviewing you. There's something both parties want. We want to hire someone. We want to find good people, and I know you guys want to find a career and set your future straight. So it's not a stressful thing. It should be fun and casual, like we are today, right? We're not an uptight company. We're pretty casual. We got a couple minutes. If anyone has anything else they want to ask, I think there's something else in Q&A. Let me look. Are all job opportunities in Ohio? No, they're in Atlanta. We have them in California. We have them, and I typed that I was going to answer it. I wrote that I was going to answer it live. I thought I was clicking answer it live, and I did it the other way. So, okay. But yeah, they're all over the place.
North Carolina.
Yeah. And we have Burt's Bees. If you guys know Burt's Bees, there's North Carolina, Arkansas for the Walmart team. Correct. Mm-hmm. So – you're welcome, Tina. She says, thanks for an awesome presentation. That's why I bring Millie and Rachel along, because I don't know what I'm doing.
Anything else we can answer before we wrap up? Rachel and I are both open books, so no question is too much.
You can find all of us on LinkedIn and ask anything there too if you have a question later and you want to follow up. More than happy to chat that way if you need to. If you applied and you want to make sure we know we applied, you can let us know on LinkedIn too. If you're really excited about this opportunity, it never hurts to see the enthusiasm.
Scott, how many people will be chosen this year for the internship? That was one question we got.
I think we're going to have 11. I love this program, and I believe so strongly in it that I'm constantly out milling through different teams and saying, hey, you guys should have an intern. So I try to get as many as we can. I think we'll have 11 or so. I think that someone's asking why they work at Clorox. I know Millie's answering it. I can tell you one thing. I worked at, I'll name some companies, Hormel Foods, which was a decent company. I worked for Coca-Cola. I worked for Reckitt Benckiser. Those are some of the major companies I worked for. I always felt like a material or a asset, if you will. Here, I felt like a human being. I can tell you that early in my career here, I had a health issue with one of my lungs, and they had to remove part of my lung. And while I was in the hospital, my manager wouldn't let me take disability. They just kept paying me. And I got notes from our Chief Customer Officer and our VP of Sales saying, hey, we just want you to get better. And to me, there was such a family that came around me here that I felt like this place is so different than any other place I've been. That to me cemented it, that I'm never going anywhere. The other thing, the reason I work here is because it's just that people really matter, and their actions, like I said, match their words. And I've just not found that anywhere else. All right. It looks like we're at time. Again, if you guys want to catch us on LinkedIn, do that. We're glad to talk some more, answer questions, anything you need. I'll be in the interviews. If you're part of this, you're going to see me a lot, and probably Rachel and Millie too. So thanks, everybody, and have a great day.